Hey guys, and welcome back to Monka, where stupid shit ensues, but the end of 2023 has come, so I figured I'd discuss all of the games that I replayed in 2023. I'm not going to dwell too much on an intro, because honestly, I got a lot of games to get through, because I replayed a lot of shit in 2023. Now, specifically, I'll be talking about the games on the Switch that I replayed in 2023, whether that's a re-release that I had played previously on another console. I'm not going to talk about games that I replayed on my Vita or on my PC, because it's kind of like a Switch-oriented channel. I'm just going to focus specifically on the games on the Switch that I replayed, like I said, whether that's a Switch replay or a kind of like a remaster that I'd played previously on another console. But we're just going to kind of jump into it. It's going to be organized by games that I replayed in order of how I replayed them. So the last game I talk about will be like the last game of the year that I replayed, and like the first game will be the first game that I replayed of the year. But starting out is going to be the GTA trilogy. Specifically, the order I played them in was GTA 3, GTA San Andreas, and then I played GTA Vice City last. I originally played these games on the PC like something like I think 10 or so years ago, maybe longer, I can't exactly remember, but I played them in the order I remember liking them, so least favorite to favorite, and honestly it kind of panned out like that because GTA 3 is a great game, but it's definitely my least favorite out of the original trilogy. San Andreas is an awesome game, but it's still my second favorite out of the original trilogy, and Vice City is just an absolutely amazing game. It's just a vibe and a half, and I love it, and it's my favorite game out of the original GTA trilogy. Probably my second favorite GTA game overall, only being beaten out by GTA 4, but replaying the trilogy was definitely a joy. I liked playing all three of them. I didn't think that the remaster on the Switch was all that bad, to be honest. I found it perfectly enjoyable, but I definitely loved going back to all three of those worlds, and I loved going back to Vice City. I just love the atmosphere and soundtrack and everything of Vice City, but definitely was a good replay, definitely was as good as I remember them, and so that was a very enjoyable experience. But next game I replayed this year was 13. I originally played this on the Xbox. It got a remaster for the Switch, so I decided to pick up and play it. Definitely is kind of a low-key game. Don't have a lot to say about it because it's kind of a generic shooter, but it's very enjoyable to me. I enjoy shooters, so I enjoyed this game when I originally played it, and I like the art style the most. And honestly, they kind of keep mostly true to keeping a nice art style with the game. Isn't as good as the original game, though. I think the original 13 is better than the remaster, but I still enjoyed this game nonetheless. Next up is Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. I originally played this when it came out on the Wii, and I decided to replay it this year since it got a HD release for the Switch. Not gonna lie, I didn't like this game very much on the Wii, mainly because of the motion controls. I just wasn't a big fan of them. For the Switch version, they allow you to use the right stick to swing the sword, and I definitely like that setup a lot more. So I actually enjoyed my experience with this game a decent amount. I thought it dragged on for a bit, and honestly, the repetitive nature of Skyward Sword is still a complaint that stands, even though they do some quality of life shit for the HD remaster. The shit that really just didn't work out in the first iteration on the Wii, like the repetitiveness of the game, is still present in this game. But I still think Skyward Sword is decent, but it is, in my opinion, the worst 3D Zelda game they ever put out. But next game I replayed was Saints Row 4. I originally played this game on the PC, couldn't tell you when to be honest, but I did play it on the PC. Enjoyed the hell out of it when I originally played it, and honestly, I still enjoy the hell out of it because Saints Row 4 is an absolute crazy experience, and it's absolutely like a blast to play through, honestly. More so than the third game, in my opinion, even though the game kind of goes through a crisis because they put all the superpowers in and they kind of make it less of a Saints Row game. It's still a really fun game just because of the fact you have all those superpowers, and it's just fun to blast around the city and super jump and run at high speeds and glide and shit. It's just an absolute banger of an experience, and honestly, if you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. But next game I replayed was Metroid Prime, and honestly, this is going to be kind of an interesting segment because when I played this game when I was younger, I absolutely loved the hell out of it. And when I was younger, I absolutely loved the hell out of Metroid Prime in general as a series. I loved Metroid Prime. I loved Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. I didn't love Metroid Prime 3 Corruption as much, but I loved Metroid Prime Hunters as well, even though not a lot of people love that game. Replaying it was a huge mistake because now I really don't like this game as much as I used to. I don't know what happened because I used to absolutely love this game, but I was kind of miserable playing through Metroid Prime, and I don't know why, and I don't know what changed, but I just did not enjoy my time replaying through this game. It's absolutely an unpopular opinion. I know some people are going to go up in arms about that, but I just didn't enjoy my experience playing the remaster, even though it was a beautiful remaster and even though the music is still amazing. I just did not enjoy my experience with this, and I'm kind of worried because replaying it kind of ruined the experience for me, and I don't know if my opinion for the other game stands still, but I don't know. Definitely a weird experience to rehab, but I don't even know. I don't know if I enjoyed Metroid Prime 4 at this point, but But next game that I replayed was Doom 2016. Originally played this when it came out on the PC. Obviously, it got a Switch port in 2017, I think, late 2017. I'd actually played it on the Switch as well, and so this is actually, I think, my third replay of this game because I bought it when it came out on the Switch near release and played it then as well. But Doom is just a banger of a game, honestly. The soundtrack is rad, the fast pace of it is rad, the fact that there's no real attachment to the story is rad. I love shooting shit and blowing it up and tearing shit apart, and the music being amped up, it just makes it an absolute thrill of a game to play through. I don't have a lot to say about this game because everything that's been said about it, to be honest, in my opinion, has been said. It's just a banger of a game, to be honest. If you haven't played it yet, honestly, you need to get out there and play it. But next game I replayed was SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. I originally played this when I was like a fucking infant on the GameCube, and I don't remember much about it, to be honest, but I originally played this on the GameCube when I was like a child. So honestly, I didn't remember much about this game, but nonetheless, it still was a replay because I did play it all those years back. But this is specifically the remaster, and honestly, it's a very enjoyable experience. It's pretty short and sweet, to be honest, like at 10 hours, but honestly, it's just an enjoyable game, honestly. It's just fun to play through, and honestly, it's a really enjoyable platformer. But the original game was pretty well beloved, and I think this remaster does it service, and honestly, I enjoyed my time with it. It's one of the few platformers I think I played this year, but I honestly really enjoyed it. I intend to, in 2024, play the Cosmic Shake because I haven't played that game, but I enjoyed this game. Nonetheless, I'd recommend playing it if you haven't. Next game I played this year, this one's kind of deceptive because this would suggest I replayed all three Borderlands games, but I replayed the original Borderlands game. I played it originally when it came out on the Xbox 360. I don't remember the year it came out, but that was the year that I originally played it. Honestly, Borderlands is an enjoyable experience. I specifically played the first game first. I intend to play 2 again, and as well I tend to replay the pre-sequel. But I played the original Borderlands first because it's by far the simplest of them, and I knew if I played 2 in the pre-sequel and then went back to 1, I'd be heavily disappointed. But honestly, the experience was pretty enjoyable nonetheless. I enjoyed going back to Pandora in that context. I still played Roland again. That's who I played when I originally played it, and I played him again because he's my favorite character in that game, but definitely had a lighter story than what I remember the 2 in the pre-sequel having, but still an enjoyable looter shooter, just kind of mindless experience. Would recommend playing it if you haven't, but definitely play it before you play the other games because the other games definitely do the formula of what was set up in the original game a lot better. But next set of games that I replayed was Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Sonic CD, specifically in the Origins collection that they released for the Switch. Not a lot to say here because I played these games a hell of a lot in my childhood. I love Sonic 1. I absolutely adore Sonic 2. It's my favorite out of the 2D Sonic games. Sonic 3 is kind of, in my opinion, a lesser game, but that's kind of, I don't know if that's controversial, but by far my least favorite out of this set. And I absolutely love Sonic CD as well, second for my probably favorite, but not a lot to say here. I've played these games a lot, and I've replayed these games a lot, and I have a heavy nostalgia bias towards these games because honestly, I remember playing these games on a Sega Genesis and a Tube TV. I just absolutely love these games. But next game I replayed was Sonic Mania. I originally played this game when it came out in 2017 on the Nintendo Switch. Only played it once, so this is my second replay of this game, but wasn't too crazy on this game when I originally played it, to be honest, and honestly, I'm still not all that crazy about it, and I have no idea why because I love 2D Sonic, but for one reason or another, I just do not like Sonic Mania as much as other people do. I love the graphics and I love the music, but honestly, the gameplay, something is missing there, and it leaves something to be desired, to be honest, in my opinion. But next set of games I replayed this year was Metro 2033 and Metro Redux. Played Metro 2033 a hell of a long time ago. I don't know how long ago, but it's been a decade plus, I think, at this point. And I've also played Metro Last Light. I think I played it near release when it came out. Definitely a solid set of games. I still love 2033. I loved it when I originally played it. And Last Light is a lesser game, in my opinion. I think Metro 2033 is a better game, but it's still a good game nonetheless. Definitely recommend playing them because they're good games, but as well, they're pretty short games. They can get through in pretty timely manner. But next game that I replayed this year was Skyrim. I probably shouldn't have, but I did because I've already played this game twice, so replaying on the Switch means I played it 3 times overall in my lifetime. I played it when it originally came out on the Xbox 360. I played it at launch, put about 80 hours into it. I played it again sometime later on the PC, put about 120 hours into it. My third replay, I put about 100 hours into it, so overall I played it 3 times and put 300 hours into it. I just love Skyrim, man. I don't know, man. It's just a great fucking game. It's already known. I don't think I can really go nuts about it because people already know that Skyrim's a great game. So I'm not saying anything new really, but honestly, I love Skyrim. I replayed it a third time. I enjoyed it about just as much as I did the other 2 times I played it. Skyrim's a banger of a game, but this is already well well known, so I don't know if there's much I can say. But next set of games I replayed this year were the BioShock trilogy. I have only played all of these games once, so this was my second time playing all three of the games. The original BioShock is kind of jank, but to be honest, it's still a really great game with a fantastic story. Don't remember how much I enjoyed it when I originally played it, but I definitely enjoyed it a lot when I played it this time around. But BioShock 2 I enjoyed the hell out of when I originally played it, and honestly I enjoyed the hell out of it when I played it this time around. Story isn't as good as the original game, but it's still a pretty good game nonetheless. The mechanics of BioShock 2 are definitely better than the original game. But BioShock Infinite, I played it when it came out at launch. Didn't like it all that much because, to be honest, I didn't like the fact that it took such a sharp turn from the original two games. I just didn't like that. When I played it this time around, I enjoyed it a lot more than I did originally. BioShock Infinite honestly is a good game. Is it as good as the original two? I don't know, because honestly it's a completely different experience. Kind of disappointed that Infinite is the kind of last game in the series, to be honest, but I enjoyed my time with BioShock Infinite definitely a lot more than I did when I originally played it. But next game I replayed was Disaster Report 4. Originally played this game in 2021. I have a video where I put it on my worst games list, but I never beat the game. I got really close to the end and I never beat it. That kind of bothered me, and so I went back and I actually beat the game this time around. Definitely enjoyed it a lot more this time around than I did when I originally played it, because second time around I decided to use a guide instead of trying to figure everything out, and so that helped a lot more in the enjoyability of the game, because honestly there's some enjoyment to be had out of this game. It's not an amazing game, to be honest, but there's a lot of funny moments in this game that make the game pretty enjoyable. But Disaster Report 4, probably I wasn't as fair to it as I could have been. Using a guide definitely made this game a lot more enjoyable this time around. But next game I replayed was Super Bomberman R. Played this game in 2017 when I got my Switch. I got this game, I got The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Honestly, there's not a lot to say about this game. I didn't have a crazy opinion on it when it came out. I still don't have a crazy opinion. Honestly, it wasn't even worth putting on here because it's a decent game, but there's really not a lot to say about it, to be honest. But next game I replayed was Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. Can't tell you on what system or when I originally played this game, but I know I played it, so I replayed it this year, and honestly it's a pretty enjoyable experience, to be honest. When I originally played it, honestly I didn't like it that much for one reason or another. Jumping back into it for a second time, I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. It's just a fun game, to be honest, and the racing is good, and honestly there's not a lot to say about it because it's a racer and there's not a lot to say about racers in my opinion, but it's still a good game nonetheless. And finally, this game hardly counts, but I replayed Splatoon. Splatoon 3 doesn't really count as a replay because hey, that came out last year, but honestly I didn't play a lot of this game, maybe 5 hours, and why I consider it a replay is because this game is hardly any different than Splatoon 2, which I did play in 2017. I played a lot of Splatoon 2 in 2017, but Splatoon 3 is not all that much different from Splatoon 2. I would go as far as to say that it's pretty much just an update to Splatoon 2 in that fashion, so in my opinion it's pretty much a replay. But I didn't play a lot of this game because, to be honest, jumping into it I was like, oh, this is Splatoon 2, and apparently even after 6 years I've had enough of my fill of Splatoon 2, and so I just didn't play a lot of this game. But it's not a bad game, to be honest, but I guess I've had my fill of Splatoon at this point. But overall, that is all of the games that I replayed in 2023. It's a lot of them. I don't know how many. I think it's around 20 games that I replayed in 2023, but it was a good year for replaying games, obviously, because I did a lot of that. But there were some games that kind of surprised me because I replayed them. There were some games that were just as good as I remembered them, and obviously, like with Metroid Prime, there were games that surprised me with how much I didn't enjoy them, and I've now ruined the experience for myself with, and that I've now ruined my childhood and other aspects with. But that was my replays for 2023. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'll see you. Stay chill.